I want to call on August Tacconi now, who's going to introduce Chic Cody, our next candidate.
Good afternoon. Well, our next candidate is Fred Chic Cody. And Fred has a long history of service with the city of Ocean Springs. Now, he began his business career of 48 years at Ingalls Shipbuilding. And he's been a member of the Ocean Springs Board of Aldermen for 24 years. And he was inducted into the Mississippi Municipal League Hall of Fame. And there's more. Chic currently serves as the City of Ocean Springs and the Ocean Springs Chamber Events Coordinator. His very active schedule keeps him busy with the Chamber and the Main Street Tourism Bureau. And his work with Cruising the Coast, Peter Anderson Festival, the city's annual tree lighting, Mardi Gras parades, and more, which are all huge economic generators for the city of Ocean Springs. And he's received the Community Leader of the Year Award for the city of Ocean Springs, along with the Main Street Hero Award from the Mississippi Main Street Association. He was involved with cruising for nearly 20 years. And in the beginning, the first year, they registered 400 cruisers. And last year, over 8,000. In between all that, well, Chic has been a softball coach and a baseball coach. And he is married to Rebecca Sue Cody and has 2 daughters, Pam and Kay. Welcome, Chic Cody.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Oh, I thought there was going to be 15 of y'all there. Oh. Excuse me. I have had the pleasure of serving Ocean Springs for a number of years, but the most important thing I have had is meeting fine people. Ocean Springs is blessed with all the people that they have. They're just unbelievable. I don't know for sure.
Would you raise that mic up, please?
Yeah. How about that? But we've been blessed with people, and I've met so many people doing all of these Cruising the Coast, Peter Anderson, and other events that we've had, and all of them want to move down here. And I've been privileged to have at least 20 of them that I know buy homes here and houses and build. In fact, one of them's building a house right there on the Applewhite property that we used for so many years as Cruising the Coast, where we had our music. And I hated to see it, but I was glad to see that he got it. So anyway, so now, the questions or what?
Sure. So we'll start with the 3 that were submitted in advance. And here's the first question. What is your vision for the city of Ocean Springs, and what are the things you have done or experienced in life or business that have prepared you to operate the city in an executive role? Please be specific about how you're equipped to prepare the city budget and managing personnel, including hiring an executive team. This also includes acting as the face of the city.
I was privileged to be an alderman for 24 years in Ocean Springs. Of that 24 years, I was privileged to work with the budget. And so I know a lot about it. I've had to endure the lean years when we had no money at all, and we've come from that to where we are now. The most important thing about the vision of Ocean Springs is really simple. I had a friend of mine, Brad Lemon, I'll quote his name, that told me something one time in 1982. He said, "Chic, big is not always better." And you know, that has been true with Ocean Springs. And we're growing, but we're growing at a manageable rate. Now, when that rate gets unmanageable, then you'll know it's time to do something. Well, it's time to do something. So I think when you establish a team, you take all the community leaders that you can get, you put the finest people in spots that they are familiar with, and you come together as a team. And as a team, along with the Board of Aldermen and the mayor, you determine what you want to do. What is our vision? Where do we want to go? Long term and short term. If we can go for many years with the plan that we have now, great. But it is true, Ocean Springs is going to grow, and you have to manage that growth. We are pretty well grown out in the downtown area. There's a few places that I guess we could really grow. But that's what happens over time. Those things change, and houses become apartments, and apartments become bed and breakfast and vacation rentals. That's true all over the South. But anyway, the other thing is, how do you manage the city budget? Well, by having the retail stores that we have right now, currently, we are able to do marvelous things. Our retail sales for this past year has really increased in spite of the COVID, and that's been really good. The portion that I like probably best is our restaurants. They have managed to do very well in spite of not having inside dining. You can go out to Highway 90 and see them stacked all over the place trying to get in, chicken places and everything else. That's good. We have 3 grocery stores that people from Biloxi just love to come over here because they can get in and get out. They excel in sales every year, so that's great. The other thing is Ocean Springs pretty well sells itself. You don't have to do too many things to have people come to Ocean Springs. They want to come, so you need to accommodate them.
Okay, thank you, Chick. We're taking about 3 minutes per question, just so you know.
All right.
So, okay, the next question is this. Ocean Springs has an aging water and sewage infrastructure that requires serious attention. Highway 90 has significant congestion and challenges that exist in most neighborhoods. While we understand you cannot fix the infrastructure needs in one term, how do you view them in terms of priority, and what long-term vision do you have for solving them?
Our water system is one of the best in the state. Our water system is checked every month. We have several locations that we have to glean the water from. It's checked, and it has to meet certain standards. We have never failed. It's always been perfect. Now, it is true that the system is aging in areas. We already have in place the priority areas that need to be replaced. Now, some of those we can do ourselves in-house, and others we'll have to form out, and we'll have to have contractors come in and do it. The problem that you have with that is you cannot tear up the whole street at one time without having accommodations problems. People can't get to their homes, they can't drive in, they can't drive out. But we've been able to do a lot of things with running pipe now underground and not having to dig. So maybe in some areas we can do that without tearing the whole place up. But the problem comes is when you connect into that house into the line, and then also managing to get rid of the lines that are already in the ground. So the state pretty well controls what we have to do with the water system. We don't have a problem that we can't fix. The sewer system's the same way. We have to meet certain state standards, and that's done. All of the priority areas have been identified that need to be replaced, and the pumps, the whole system is constantly being surveyed and serviced. So our systems are first class.
Okay, the third question. Most people believe the Ocean Springs economy is doing well. Do you see gaps in our local economy? And if so, what are they? And what would you do to fill those gaps?
Well, there are several things you can do. We want to attract businesses that do not pollute and do not cause us problems later on. We have had several businesses in town. In fact, one of them is at the corner of Pine and Government. And the water there, not the water, but the water table, was polluted with acetone. And that's still being mitigated. Now, what, I'm sorry, somebody say something? What you have to do is you have to go down about 60 feet to get that out of there. If you do that, then you really got some problems, because not only that, you get in the water table and other things, so you spread it rather than contain it. So right now it's contained. And we know that because we have test spots all over the place there in the area, and they test those regularly, so we know it's dissolving as we speak. But to fill the gaps, it's really funny. You can watch the businesses that go and come in Ocean Springs, and as soon as a business moves out, somebody else is moving in, and they're redoing the whole building. They go in there and tear the walls out, redo it, reshape it. I was in a business today, and they're getting ready to redo it, and I thought to myself, man, this is already nice, and you're going to make it really. She said, you got to keep up with the times, and that's pretty good. That's a good attitude. I think our businesses are on top of especially ones on Washington and government. they have the ring seat or the choice seat, and they really do a good job, I think, of promoting Ocean Springs.
Okay, there are 3 questions that were not submitted in advance, and here's the first one. Explain how your administration will effectively foster relationships with your Board of Aldermen, the private sector, the county, the state, the federal government, to maintain the Ocean Springs charm while responsibly managing its growth.
Communication is absolutely necessary. Every entity you have named, those are important. They make up the complexion of Ocean Springs. The first thing I'd do if I was elected mayor, when we walk in there to meet, every alderman will know I'm the best friend he ever had. I've been an alderman for 24 years. I know how hard it is to get things done. I will formulate 2 things really quickly. First, I will have the best staff possible that I can hire. The second thing I'll do is every alderman will have the chance to submit a list of priorities that they want. We'll take those priorities and we'll have the long term, because we only have 48 meetings that are stated communications, which means you have to meet the first Tuesday of every month by law. And so once we do that, once everything is identified as to what you're going to do, you can stack it short term, long term, mid term, or whatever area you want to attack first. But the most important thing is finding the funding to do those things. You can think of a million things you'd like to do, but if you can't fund it, you can't have it. So it's pie in the sky. So let's get it down to reality. Let's talk about the things we really can do. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing I want to do if I do nothing else. Our streets are paved about that thick in a lot of areas. When you step off the curb, you step down a foot, all right? Those streets need to be ground down and returned to where you can navigate them. How do I know that? Every time we have a cruising the coast, Peter Anderson, or any parade or anything, we have people tripping over that. Okay, downtown especially on Government Street. That needs to be fixed, and we can do that. All we have to do is not pave that time, but fix the streets, fix the gutters, make the gutters work for you, move the water, channel the water. That is probably one of the biggest criticisms I hear from people that come to the coast, that come to Ocean Springs. Why do you have that drop-off, especially around Tater Nut? If you've ever been down here, you know what I'm talking about. Now, the other thing is we have a lot of beautification projects that have been started, and God help me, I love them. But after they start them, they walk away from them, and they're never completed. It's worse than it was before you made it pretty. So we need if we're going to do a beautification project, we need to keep it up and make sure it's watered and tended properly. The other thing is our traffic signals and a few other things that really need to be addressed. I don't know if you have another question for that, or did you want me to handle it now? Okay.
There is a perception in the cities that the city's focus on beautification has waned in recent years, while challenges like homelessness has increased. These issues impact both the quality of life of residents and the experience of tourists and visitors to Ocean Springs. What will you do as mayor to improve beautification, address homelessness, and improve the quality of life here?
I agree with you that we do need to do something about that, and we can. That's not something that's out of reach or out of touch. I touched it just a little bit a while ago. If you start a project, you need to finish it. If you beautify an area, you need to keep it groomed, swept, and nice. I don't know if any of you noticed or not, but when you go to some of our corners, our intersections, the rocks are sometimes pretty deep, okay? Well, that's real easy to fix. We have a sweeper, we have other things. But listen, we also have contracts to cut grass down Highway 90. The guy that can cut that grass can sweep those streets every time he cuts the grass, and then it's over with. The city doesn't have to mess with it. We can do that all over town. Sidewalks, when they're supposed to be 5 foot and they're this, you just have a foot to walk on, you know that you got a problem. But we've addressed that. Now, to be honest with you, we've had a few hurricanes back to back or storms back to back. Those really take the meat out of our manpower. So we've got a reason for that. But I think those are all accomplishable things, and we can do it.
Anything else you want to say about homelessness?
The homelessness is a problem not just here, but everywhere. When I was an alderman before, we met with a group of people, and we did come to some conclusions. I really think that some of the churches have taken a good position, and they've really done a marvelous job. I do know that some people choose to be that way, and I respect that. But I do know that some of them are down on their luck and they need help. You know, I'm going to tell you something, how I feel about it. The Bible says that beware you entertain angels unaware. When you see somebody that's down on their luck, if you can help them, help them. If you can't, find somebody that can. At least you've done something, and God expects that of each one of us. I don't know the answer to all of the problems with the homeless, but I do know that there are people in this town that are willing and able to do it, to help them and to make it better for them.
Thank you. And the last question is this. Pascagoula and Gulfport, among other cities, have major economic development projects on the ground or in their works. They are funded through their respective redevelopment authorities. Would Ocean Springs benefit from the establishment of a redevelopment authority? If so, what should the goals of such an entity be?
You know, we have probably one of the best group of people in this town, and I could name every one of them because a lot of them are in this room, that probably have more vision and more experience than most people that you would hire to do that. In fact, I think the city hired 2 groups not long ago, and both of them didn't do really anything. So what I'd like to do is take the Chamber of Commerce with a consortium of people that are business-oriented in special fields, put them together, and let's say, hey, let's come up with a plan. Let's do what we haven't done in the past. Now, the problem is getting out to the east. We've built out here, so the only place we can move is to the east. Well, water and sewer's already out there. Everything's fine. All you got to do is hook up. So that would be the challenge, to try to incorporate those areas into the downtown area, make them feel as comfortable as we have with the downtown people, make them part of Ocean Springs. In talking to some people the other day, one of them told me, he says, you know, we don't feel like we're in Ocean Springs a lot of times. And I said, well, that's not true. You need to come in and make yourself known and join the crowd. I guarantee you. But I will do everything I can to help those businesses out there have the same benefits and the same attention that we give the downtown area. But I'm going to tell you, location, location, location. That should be situation, location, location, because some things you just can't do anything about.
You have a minute or two left. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you, I love Ocean Springs. I have no agenda to hurt anyone or to do anything but help Ocean Springs. I love Ocean Springs. I love Ocean Springs. And I want to tell you something. When I moved here, there was a guy, and I know his son's sitting there, and I'm not trying to butter him up because I love him just as much as I do his daddy. But Brad Lemon, Curtis Lloyd, and a few others taught me a lot about this city. And let me tell you something. You love Ocean Springs. I know all of you do, or you wouldn't be here. But let me tell you what you do. You get you a convertible or get you one of these golf carts. and ride around real slow in the downtown area and just let Ocean Springs talk to you. You don't need to do anything. Just sit in that car and just let Ocean Springs talk to you. And let me tell you something. If you don't fall in love with Ocean Springs, something's wrong with you. Folks, we have what people love. If you could just be there with me doing cruising and Peter Anderson, when people come up to me and say, Chick, we love this city. Don't change it. Don't do anything to ruin it. Let me tell you something. Those words mean something to me, because that's somebody telling you from somewhere else that, hey, I love it here and I'd do anything in the world to be here. Now, one other thing. Enjoy one another. The richest thing we have in Ocean Springs going for us is people. People make or break any city. And I can tell you right now, the people in this city have reached out to people all over, and they love you. And I tell you, when somebody hurts in this town, we all hurt. We love one another. And I want to tell you something else. I love Tater Nut Donuts. And we need to pray for that family. That was a tragedy. Okay, and we can do that. We can bring that back. That family means a lot to this city, just like the Lemons and other people that have given everything. That's what makes this city what it is. It's that connected and that bond that they formed to make this city what it is. And let me tell you something. I will be there in the morning if I'm elected, before everybody gets there, and I will be there long after they leave. This boy will work. I love Ocean Springs, and I have nothing else better to do. And I'm retired. I don't need the money for the salary, so I'm not going to worry about it, okay? If I get the salary, I'll probably take it, and I'll take the same salary that the alderman's getting, and I'll take the rest of it, and I'll help homeless people. I'll help churches. I'll help those people that need it. That's what I'll do.
Thank you very much, Chick Cody. Yes.